All right, here we are. It's Altitude Sports Radio Training Camp React with Coach Mike Sanford and Grizzly Adams. That's self-dubbed. Should we?
You guys
Should we
like
just?
that?
Should
How's
we
it
just?
coming in?
Terrible.
Terrible? What are you talking about? I've been working on this thing for like 6 months. You're going to call it terrible?
It's been longer than 6 months, has it? I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw you freshly shorn.
Oh, like bald? Bald has been years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
No, but
I'm talking last trim.
No, it's the fringes are just like kind of. It's not just growing; it's growing out. It's like growing all over the place. I mean,
That's right. Usually I see my barber and I keep it nice and tight up here, but I've given up on all things hair.
What is going on?
Yeah, so I got this going on. I got this.
I had no clue, DMac.
I don't think you want to see down low.
No,
DMac, I had no clue that Ted Kaczynski was going to be joining the program tonight.
Actually, I got to be honest. I got to be honest with you. I can't tell you the last time I saw Tyler without a hat on. I actually did not know the lettuce on top.
I ever have.
Yesterday, I didn't wear a hat yesterday. Come on, buddy.
Oh my
Pay
God.
attention.
All right, let's start with the Broncos today, and I'll start with Jared Goff, Bo Nix comparison. Our boy Cecil throwing out that question to Josh Reynolds.
I think they're different players. They got great arms. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that'd probably be the biggest comparison is their arm talent. But hard to say right now. He's getting acclimated and continuing to grow and just looking forward to seeing how he keeps progressing.
Josh, you obviously bogged down in.
You want to take that one on, Tyler? Is there some sort of Bo Nix, Jared Goff thing?
Well, admittedly, I'm pulling Hastings here. Technology problems. I couldn't hear the beginning of that, but I mean, if we just want to talk about comparisons between the two guys, I actually think that's a reasonable comp. If we're talking best case scenario with Bo Nix, my personal comp was like high ceiling would be like Brock Purdy. But I think that Jared Goff and Brock Purdy are very similar guys that you put them in the right system and they thrive. You put them in the wrong system and they probably don't thrive. And I don't mean that as a shot because, Mike, you know this better than anybody. A system quarterback is not a shot. If anything, that's a compliment.
Yeah, what I would say, looking at this comp, I thought this was a funny clip because, us media types, and I can now call myself, I guess. I mean, I don't know if DMac, do you let me call myself that? I get the badge?
You're pretty damn close, brother. I mean, you're kind of right there.
But what I would say is like we always want to, put a nice little box with a ribbon around every single comparison of players. And we start doing it in the draft process. I did it. I fall victim to it, but it's just so funny to see Josh Reynolds be like, yeah, tap your brakes a little bit, bud. Like he's still getting acclimated.
Is that what he said at the beginning?
Well, I'll play it again. Okay, here's Josh Reynolds. I'll play it one more time.
I think they're different players. They got great arms. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that'd probably be the biggest comparison is their arm talent. But hard to say right now. He's getting acclimated and continuing to grow and just looking forward to seeing how he keeps progressing.
They're different players. That's hell no. I mean, what are you talking about?
I'll be honest, like a lot of these players that are coming of age that are, we're high school recruits that, I've been a quarterback coach, different schools over the last 10 years, 12 years. And, so I knew a lot of these players in terms of how I evaluated them coming out of high school. And Jared Goff's like this tall, lean, just beautiful thrower of the football. I'm talking like he was the East Bay kid, or actually North Bay in Marin Catholic. His dream school was actually Sanford, where I was coaching at the time. But Andrew Luck was occupying the starting job. We ended up taking somebody else. But when he worked out, man, I'm telling you, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody just control the football meticulously with so many different types of throws, and actually had a very, very strong arm. And so I look at Bo Nix, even from his evaluation. I mean, he was a 5-star dual threat quarterback. That's what he was. Like he was a highly regarded runner of the football, made athletic throws off platform. And I do think the Brock Purdy comp is a fair comp. I really do. I think that's more in the wheelhouse. I think Bo's a little bigger than Brock, taller. I think Brock's in that 6'1" area, and Bo's just a hair over 6'2". And by hair, I'm not talking about one of the hairs that's hanging off of Tyler Polumbus's chin. I'm talking about more this type of a hair. But I think that Brock Purdy's a fair comparison. Brock Purdy is a grinder. Bo Nix is a grinder. He is an athlete. Bo Nix is an athlete. They both have, there's questions about both of their ability to really drive the football, really fit it into tight windows in the National Football League. And to this point, it hasn't cost Brock Purdy anything from being successful. So I think that with the same trajectory, I think that Bo Nix could be on a similar path as Brock Purdy. The difference is the surrounding cast, as we all know.
What do you think, Tyler?
Hey man, I'm pretty anti player comps on rookies, on draft picks, guys that are coming out. I'm like, goodness gracious, like all of a sudden we're comparing these to dudes that have figured it out. Like they figured it out. 9 out of 10 of these guys have not figured it out. I do like, early on. I'll just say this for our guy Bo Nix. His feet are a little bit better than what I thought. I knew he was athletic, and I knew he had some decent speed to him. But I'm going to find a little comfort here and saying, when things get at its worst for Bo Nix, hey, we can go back to his comfort zone, and we can start calling some zone reads. And we implemented a few of those over the last few days of practice. And you know what? You don't want to live there, your bread and butter. But I'm telling you what, it's a damn near impossible play to schematically stop. I mean, there's a reason why it's so successful. So, when things are tough, I'm okay with the young quarterback going to his feet. And I guess the most encouraging part for Bo so far, he's not looking to get out of that pocket unless he has a reason to.
All right, well, let's talk about I thought was a tip-off. I want to get your guys' reaction, but here is Sean Payton about what's to come in training camp.
Look, it's not etched in stone. We talk about it at the beginning of the week. It's hard to rotate three through the first group. All three of them, I thought, had a good day today. We'll see how Saturday goes. Saturday, we're going to have a little bit more of a different type of practice. It's not going to be a scrimmage, but there's going to be like 3 phases, special teams mixed in, move the ball, if you will. And we haven't met on that relative to the reps in the rotation. And then Sunday, we'll map out the plan for the week leading up to Indianapolis. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, what is Saturday going to be, Coach?
I'm excited. I mean, there's been no move the ball. Everything to this point, Tyler, can attest to that. I mean, it's been all scripted plays. You haven't seen the play calling mechanism, for Sean Payton calling the plays into the quarterback helmet. I know they do that on scripted plays in NFL practices, but it's just different when you're removed from having anybody behind you, that's in your ear right before a play or giving you tips. And not saying that that's happening. And then same thing, the defense doesn't have a script. I mean, it's unscripted, call it and haul it. I'm excited to be there on Saturday. It's going to be a fun practice to watch. And I find it interesting that he did mention 3 different phases that he talked about. He mentioned special teams. He mentioned the move the ball. And I'm guessing the only situational football that I've seen, the 2 areas on offense, defense that hasn't been installed and practiced is true goal line short yardage. Yeah. Haven't seen that. And then you haven't seen 2 minutes. So I'm guessing one of those other phases of situational football comes out. But I think it'll be a fun practice to be at. And, if you're a Bronco fan that got your ticket really early, they're sold out. So show up because I think it's going to be an entertaining practice.
Yeah, and the offensive linemen are saying hallelujah because move the ball is the only period of practice, which they've not been doing. Usually at the end of practice, you wrap up practice with either move the ball period or with a 2-minute period. And they haven't been doing that. And, for these Broncos offensive linemen, I guarantee you they're saying hallelujah because every freaking period of a practice is slanted towards the defensive line, towards the defense. Because guess what? Inside zone, what are they doing? They're coming off the freaking ball because they know it's a run. Team pass, team run, team blitz. What are they doing? They're barreling down your chest. They're bull rushing. They're doing whatever because they know that it's a pass. You get to move the ball, period. It's the only period of practice in which the defensive line does not have an inherent advantage. So, the offensive line, I guarantee, is looking forward to it. DMac, I know that you're like a bit ambitious here, thinking that they're going to anoint a starter. I don't think they're going to anoint a starter. I mean, I think you'll visually see it with your eyeballs. But Sean Payton, coaches wait as long as they possibly can to anoint a starter. I mean, it's probably dumb, but they think there's some strategic advantage to waiting until you as late as you possibly can. So they don't want to tell anybody, but we'll probably see it with our eyeballs.
I just wonder, okay, we're through the second week of practice. This will be the second day off, a Sunday again, where the coaches are getting together. There's a game on the 11th, which would be 6 days away after that. What are we waiting for here, fellas? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we got to prepare for this game against Indy, coach. I don't know. Is that crazy to think that they would say, all right, well, or you know what? They absolutely could say, hey, the starter against Indy is going to be Bo Nix, and we'll take it from there. I mean, they could be a little bit nondescript, I suppose. But if that's the case, come on, guys. I mean, if that is the case, and at some point, wouldn't you have to get some sort of starter ready for that preseason game?
I mean, the preseason games, Tyler, you jump in and interrupt anytime that you feel. I've never gone through the preseason routine, but I do know this, like the spring game in college football that's televised. You run basically your DNA plays, the stuff that you've repped the most. They should be stuff that even a rookie can go out and execute. You're not getting too game planny, if you will, and you're not showing a whole lot of your new schemes that you might have researched in the offseason and added to what you're doing. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a ton of game planning from a coach's perspective that goes in unique to who you're facing outside of just wanting to make sure that you run your successful looks against successful defensive fronts and coverages. So, but I think you kind of stay in your wheelhouse of days 1 and 2 installation and not much else. Is that true, Tyler? Zero
game planning is going into it. I mean, nothing is going into specifically the first preseason game. It used to be the third game was kind of the dress rehearsal for the starters that you would game plan for lightly. You would game plan for it. You would actually have scout team out there. You would go through cards. You'd go through all of it like you traditionally would in a regular week. But now that they're down to 3 games, I guess the second game is kind of the big game for the starters. But in terms of anointing a starter, no, I'll wager weeks of coffee on that. They're not going to come out and say Bo Nix is our starting quarterback. They might say this, hey, Bo Nix is going to get 12 snaps with the starters. And they actually do say that a lot. A lot of times they will say specifically, our starters are going to get 8 to 12 reps in this game. And yeah, that's how many reps Bo Nix is going to get. But they're not going to say he's our starting QB.
Well, somebody has to start the game, I suppose, whether or not.
Tyler's talking about like the big picture starter, like Seattle opener starter.
Right.
There's no real reason for Sean Payton to come out and say that in the next 5 days, right? Because, I mean, just assume that say you do come out and say, Bo Nix is our starting quarterback. Here we go. And then it's bad in the preseason when he does get reps. Like, I mean, you want to see how he's going to respond to at least the throws and the operation in game in a preseason game, at least 1, maybe 2 before you feel like.
But DMac wants him to name a starter, Mike. DMac wants him to name a starter so bad.
I think Sean Payton wants to name Bo Nix the starter. That's what I think.
You know what? You might be right.
Like, I think this is all about, will Bo Nix fall apart? And he hasn't. I think Payton, why did he make this announcement today about Saturday? He wants us to know this. He wants there to be that sort of moment. This is Bo Nix working out is Sean Payton being smarter than the average Bear. I think, up yours, 6 quarterback taken. I liked him. He's my guy.
But what does that really, D-Mac, but what does that even say? I mean, what does that say, up yours or F you to the rest of the NFL that didn't draft this guy? I mean, what tangibly has he done to say F you, right? Like, that's the question. I mean, the F you moment is when he comes out of a full season and the future quarterback is on your roster, and there's nobody who's questioning that. We're nowhere near that, DMac. I mean, there's so many things are going to happen between now and the final week of the season to say, you know what, Mike Sanford, your evaluation of Bo Nix at the combine was dead ass wrong. Right now, there's nothing that I've seen yet to say that I was dead ass wrong. If he beats out Jarrett Stidham, a career lifetime backup, and he beats out Zach Wilson, who frankly hasn't even had a chance to compete for the job, that was an outcast from New York, what really have you tangibly proven by just saying you're the starter? I mean,
I do wish we were there, though, Mike, yesterday. Yesterday's practice was pretty special for Bo. It honestly was, man. It's not that it was a ton of Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams-esque plays where he's doing spectacular things.
Right.
But they pushed the ball down the field.
Did he throw any play action? So all the clips I saw were all like outbreakers, comebacks, sideline type plays. I didn't see a post route thrown. I didn't see it all looked along those lines. I don't know.
I would say there was 3 balls that were between the 14 to 18 yard range.
Okay.
So hey, that's more or less a deep ball in the NFL. We're not throwing 40-yard bombs more than once or twice a game, and that's about it. So
right.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that we got that past 15-week go route out there, but he was pushing the ball down the field pretty good. And I think the best thing that I could say about Bo Nix so far, we haven't had that blow-up day, which you're going to get from every rookie quarterback. There's not been a 2 or 3 interception day. When he's had an interception, generally speaking, he bounces back. Mike, I was right there with you on my opinion of Bo Nix, of the actual draft pick itself. I wasn't super fired up about it, but he's kind of slowly but surely winning me over just in terms of he's going to be a functioning quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a bust. We got a long ways to go before we got something special, but he's winning me over in terms of just consistency.
All right, let's talk about running backs then for a little bit. Sean Payton talked about and Sean Payton was paying a lot of attention to running backs today. That's for sure. Here we go.
I like look, I've said this. I think we're seeing great competition in the back end. I think we're seeing great competition at receiver. And I think we're seeing real good competition at the running back position. And, pick your player. We could talk about him. Jaleel's more confident. Javante's down 10 pounds. He looks like a completely different player. Last year at this time, in fairness to him, he was recovering still inside of 8 months of an ACL. He's fully healthy now. And you can see it in his play. I can go through, all of those guys. The young back, Audric, has done well. Watson, we got back, and Beatty's another smart, more of a joker type player. But I'm pleased with where that room's at.
Did you see the difference with Jaleel? He said he wanted to work.
Okay, guys, what's going on at running back?
Huge fan of the group. I really am. And I think the biggest step forward is one that I had my doubts about. Tyler actually was the first, I think, on altitude that came out and said, hey, everybody just cool your brake, cool your jets a little bit. Let's tap the brakes. Javonte Williams ain't going to get cut, right? It doesn't. And Tyler was dead on right. Not only did the weight loss, everybody talked about the 10, 11 pounds, but when you compare Javonte Williams from what I saw in OTAs, which I thought was a bit of a lack of burst, he looked a little bit, not just slightly overweight, but did not look explosive. Looked like week 15 to 17 edition of Javonte, not weeks, 4 through 7 of last season. Dude, he looks explosive. He is hitting, he's doing everything and catching the ball out of the backfield. He's running the entire cadre of run schemes, and he's running them very well. I'm a huge fan of his. I think that Jaleel McLaughlin had the play of the day, wheel route down the field thrown by by Zach Wilson. Caught it in traffic. He high pointed the football. There's a different burst with him. And then Audric Estime. I think we're going to learn a lot about Audric Estime as an NFL running back over the course of the preseason, because you got to see that he can run through arm tackles. We know he's big and strong, but it's different doing the National Football League than it is doing it at college, especially with the offensive line Notre Dame had. There were a lot of opportunities to run through big spaces where you had a defensive back or a linebacker with a lot of space. So I like the group a lot.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough call in the running back room, man. I think that there's two vets on the offensive side of the ball that could potentially be kind of fan favorite, painful cuts. I think Tim Patrick is one of those. We'll see. Hey, I'm biggest super fan ever of Tim Patrick, but and then I think Samaje Perine is probably the other. You know, you've got Javonte, you've got Jaleel, you've got Audric Estime. I know this. Coaches generally, when they bring a guy in from their past, they bring him in for a reason, and they generally don't cut him. So I'm talking about Michael Burton there, the fullback. That's four guys, and then we'll see what happens. Mike, I wanted to ask you this, and I know you've never had to do the 53-man roster game, but in any given season, how many running backs do you typically utilize? Like you've got different situations, you've got different reasons why you use different running backs, right? So describe kind of the different situations and how many different guys you typically will call upon in any given year.
Yeah. So Tyler, if you're cool, I'll take the fullback out of it just because that's a different discussion. So let's just talk the way that I've always liked to build my running back room, you know, from a roster development standpoint, which really would apply, I think, in the NFL with the constraints of a 53-man roster. But, you know, you want your number one back to be a bell cow, a guy that can potentially be an all three down type of a back, can run in between the tackles, you know, can effectively catch the football, get you some ugly yards in the pass game, but not an elite pass catcher. And then you want your two, I've always used this term, you want him to be a duck, like D-U-C-K. Like, and I use that term thinking LaMichael James, DeAnthony Thomas of Oregon, like that speed guy, the guy that's your gadget play guy.
Jaleel.
Yep, and that's Jaleel McLaughlin. And then I wanted my third to be almost a carbon copy of my one.
So we've got that.
That's what I see.
You've got Javonte as your starter. Okay, you got Jaleel as your gadget guy, and then you got Audric Estime, who's your bowling ball. Who really that is Javonte Williams' style of play. Javonte is a bruiser back. Like, he's not a dude that's out there like shifting and jiving and dancing all around. He runs through people, and Audric Estime might be an improved version of that in terms of just the power running. But the way I see it, you've got Javonte Williams as your base package running back. You've got Jaleel as kind of your gadget guy. You've got Audric Estime as your short yardage goal line guy. And you're pretty much set. So I know that Samaje is probably the best in the group in terms of receiving. And he caught a lot of balls last year. 50-plus passes he caught last year. But we're not talking about spectacular stuff here in the passing game. He's got sure hands. He's steady. He doesn't let you down. And he is a good pass protector. So I'm not taking anything away from him. But I just don't think that Samaje brings something to the table that is so electric that you're going to end up carrying 5 or 6 running backs in the same room. You're just probably not.
Well, that's a big decision, and I think that's a real competition, and perhaps Saturday will help sort that out. Madden ratings are in, fellas. I want you to look at, and I'm going to trust that you guys are into this stuff way more than I am, but here is Pat Surtain at a 95 overall. He is third in terms of Madden ratings for corners, with Sauce Gardner having a 97 and Jalen Ramsey having a 96. Jair Alexander right behind Surtain with a 93. Do Madden ratings matter?
What do you mean?
Do they matter? Do they matter to the player? Does it matter? Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? The Surtain
players care. Hell yeah, they care, and we all know who the rating guy is. His name is Clint Oldenburg, and
wow.
And when you got a problem, you hit him up, and you know how you get your ratings improved? You send Clint a couple tickets to the game. You know,
are you being serious here?
I'm being dead serious. You know, you send Clint, you send him a couple things he might like. You know, get him an autograph for the kids, whatever. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
But he is the guy, actually, and he was my teammate out there in Washington, former CSU Ram, by the way, local guy.
Wait, hold on a second. Cool. One guy, that's really cool. One guy, your buddy, does all the ratings?
Not all of them, but he's
kind of in charge of the operation.
That is crazy.
If he wants to get something fixed, he can get it fixed. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
Wow. Tyler, show off a little bit. What was your rating?
What was your peak?
Oh, I have no idea, but it was probably terrible.
Okay, well, that's pretty funny, man. I didn't know we could break down that. All right.
I am being dead serious, though, that when guys get a rating that they don't like, they do hit them up, and they do complain about it for sure. And, and sometimes they do make adjustments. Well, they make adjustments throughout the entire season, but they'll come in and they'll double check things, talk to people, and they do make adjustments. But it's a pride thing in the locker room for sure.
So I'm kind of new to the news cycle of this time of year. So I've never even known that the ratings being like released was a thing. And that
you should have seen your coach rating, Mike. Yeah, be thankful the college sports game wasn't out then.
It was really good back in it was unbelievable in 14, 15, 16. And then it kind of has gone downhill ever since 2017.
Yeah.
It hadn't been great.
Yeah, too funny. Okay, last point here, and we appreciate everybody watching. We're here at 8:00 every night that there is a training camp practice. So we'll be back here tomorrow night and Saturday, Sunday, the day off, and we'll go from there. Not sure what we're going to do actually for the game. We got to sort of hash that out one way or the other. We'll see. We'll figure it out. And we have the boys in the morning at training camp as soon as the sun comes up, and then Dempsey and company with a whole collection of people. And we have our show is a little staggered. Sometimes it's there kind of halfway, sometimes not, but extensive training camp coverage for you right here at Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Okay. Did you fellas watch in the Hall of Fame game a little bit the new kickoffs? And I hope you did, and I'm dying to know what you think.
You guys
watched
watch the Hall
it.
of Fame game?
Oh, gosh.
I wanted to watch the kickoffs in particular. And actually, there were quite a few scores. So there was I saw 5 or 6 kickoffs. Kind of cool.
DMac, I think it was on this very program that our 8:00 podcast that I brought about my biggest concern for this iteration of how it looked on Saturday at practice. There's no mechanism to tell the blocking unit when the play starts.
You got to look backwards.
Yeah, break that down, Mike, because there's a lot of people that don't even understand what's going on.
Okay, so you're setting up the kickoff coverage team at the 40-yard line, okay? And then the 35-yard line, and I'm talking about on the returner side, the side of the field where the returner's at.
Yeah.
The kickoff return unit, the front line, and then they have to have, I believe it's 2 or 3 players that are not directly on the line of scrimmage. They have to be at least a yard behind where the blocking unit is set up, the front line. Well, the thing that I saw is the blockers cannot look they're looking forward at the guy that they're, they have schemes. They run trap, they run stretch, they run TED concepts, tight end down, down and around type concepts. But in, I think 3 of the first 4 kicks in this new kickoff, there was a penalty for blocking team engaging early, I believe is what they call
okay.
it.
All right.
And I thought about, I'm like, why would you not just have the sideline, the side judges back there with a whistle or right at the same line?
No. Hey, Mike, they got to get the hot chick that does the drag racing stuff. They stand there right in the middle.
That'd be great.
Let's go.
That would be Orion.
Grease sliding.
Well, when I saw it, it looked like the blockers were looking back, and their first. Well, right. I don't know what other choice they have, and their first steps were actually backwards, and then there's a rule in this that I didn't even think about. They have introduced a 12th man on the kickoffs.
Yeah, it's the holder.
The holder who can't go down and block. So the 12th man
can't go down and cover.
He allowed to tackle?
Right.
No, he has to sprint off, right?
He has to sprint. So if it's a windy day and the ball's falling off the tee, think about it. There's nobody to hold the ball. So I didn't even realize this was the thing. So they have instituted a rule for a 12th man to hold the ball, and as soon as it's kicked, he's got to run off the field.
Sprint, just beeline to the sideline.
He's like a ball boy.
He's
Like
like,
a little ball boy.
like the tea fetcher, Tyler. That's
I
really
think-
what you are.
I think they could do a
Yeah, I didn't know
giveaway.
about that one.
They could do a giveaway for a fan in the stands. Seriously, because you're not allowed to do anything except for hold the ball. I mean, literally anybody could do that, and then you run off the field.
I think some of these cash poor organizations think about the Las Vegas Raiders. They might have just open bidding for the highest bidder gets to be the windy tee holder, even though they don't have a lot of wind inside of Allegiant Stadium. But you can travel with the team to Chicago. You can go out to Kansas City.
No, you know what? I think that the new rule, obviously, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be insane. And honestly, teams don't even know what their strategies are yet. They're not going to know what their strategy is until about halfway through the season. And you're going to see a lot of balls on the ground. Okay, you're going to see the kickers intentionally putting the ball on the ground. You're going to see teams experiment without even having a traditional kicker out there. You
don't need one. You
Kansas City.
literally don't. Anybody could do this. I swear to God. I think everybody on our staff could kick the ball 10 feet in the air, 30 yards. Seriously, it's not hard to do.
I believe Kansas City is planning on using, I forget who it was, but somebody that's not the kicker is going to be kicking off.
It was Reed.
So in theory, this is
Justin Reed.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Makes sense. It makes total sense.
In theory, this is supposed to cause a lot of action, right? And there should be touchdowns. There should be fun stuff going on. And that's why the rule was implemented. That's why it was put in place, because they want more action on the kickoff return. But I'm telling you, if it does its job, if it actually does cause chaos, if there are touchdowns, if there are big returns all the time, you know what's going to happen? Teams
Touchback City.
Start kicking it in the end zone, and they're going to take the extra. Because now it used to be the where does it come out to again? If
30.
Touchback, it's an extra 10 yards this year, right?
Yeah, it's coming back to the 30 this year.
Really?
Okay,
so if I just let it,
Difference of 5 yards.
So if I let it go through the end zone, I get the ball at the 30?
More than that, I think yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Well,
and so teams are just going to say, fine, I'll just give you that.
Sure.
I'm going to put it through the end zone. So it's just going to be another dead play like it always was.
Well, tonight it was fun. At least tonight it was fun. Seriously. Like there was
How weird
action.
does it look, man? It looks
It's
so freaking weird,
I hate
man.
it.
Like,
So weird.
I can't do it, Mike. I can't do it.
That's
I
how
can't
the
do it.
NFL season's going to kick off. Like it's going to start
I
with
know.
this weird play. What are we doing? Where's
DMac
football?
DMac and I fight about this all the time about the kickoff, and I'm like big on like a ceremonial start to a football game.
Pomp
okay?
and circumstance, man.
Yeah, like I get it. Nothing
Boring.
happens on the kickoff, but it's
Boring.
just like it's like lighting the torch of the Olympics. You know, that's how you get things going. What the hell is this, man? Is this a video game? Are we playing rugby? What are we doing?
I thought it was a fun play. It's a real play, by the way. It's a real
No,
play.
it's not. There's nothing real about that. What is that? That's not a football play.
There's a ball in play and a dude running with ball being tackled, meaning a real play. Kind of like the extra point. Like, hey, we're just going to move it back a little bit, and you go from 99% to 83%, and all of a sudden it's just a little bit more interesting. It's not a little bit more interesting. It's a lot of bit more interesting. Whether it looks stupid or not, it's kind of another conversation. But
it'll
it's
be fun.
definitely more interesting.
Hey, Tyler. So the inventor of this kickoff, he played center. He was Andrew Luck starting center at Sanford. Brilliant guy. Didn't play in the NFL, but did end up getting, I think, hired by the XFL, was the rules commissioner, because Oliver Luck was the actual commissioner of the XFL. So he hired, this extremely smart individual. And there's some nuances. There's some differences between what the NFL adopted and what the XFL did.
What are they? Do you know?
I ran into Sam Schwartzstein at the airport about a month and a half ago. And I was on my way to Cabo. He was on his way to Cabo. He broke it down for me, the differences. But I don't think that I was in a great frame of mind on my way to Cabo to really ingest all of the information that was coming my direction.
You were ingested.
Yeah, there was some ingestion would maybe imply that I was going to do the booger sugar. That's not really my jam. The reason that he designed it, and this is like the genesis of it all, is that you take away the collision zone being full speed collisions, but you obviously start both teams in what used to be the spot of the kickoff return where there was the frontline collisions, if you will. So that's kind of the genesis of it.
Yeah.
All player safety driven. And then he had a crap ton of analytics that went into where the ball would be spotted on a touchback. I think theirs was at the 40, Tyler.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like teams had to put it in play.
Right. Right. And I knew that they added on. I thought it was significant. I should know this. I'm sorry. I'm a football guy, but I thought it was like another 10 yards this year, but I guess it's just an extra 5.
Yeah, it's 5 more yards. But, if you look at the analytics of drive starting, at the drive start chart, the difference between starting at the 18-yard line, say you do execute this play and you tackle inside the 20 versus the 30-yard line, like it jumps 20-something% in terms of odds of scoring.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, that's worth it. More scoring, more action, the better. But it looks goofy as hell. No doubt about it. By the way, like having the game on a Thursday night. Cool. I mean, I like that rather than a Saturday. I mean, it's fine by me. And congratulations, Randy Gradishar. Has
the Hall of Fame game ever been on? Has it always been on Thursday?
No. I mean, it's relatively new that it's moved to like, sort of a primetime sort of thing. Huh. But people will watch and gamble on anything.
Tyler, did you ever play in an HOF game?
Hell no, thank God. Because it sucks if you play in that because that means you report to camp early.
Right.
Yeah, you get a full extra week of practice. But you know what? Actually, nowadays, if you're a young guy, you're an undrafted guy, you should be thanking the good Lord that you got that game. You'll play. Yeah, because you don't get those 4 preseason games anymore. And that game of all the games, young guys play all of it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to thank everybody for watching. We have the highest amount of concurrent viewers right now.
Done. It's kind of fun.
You want to keep going?
Yeah. Highest number. What I'm on? Shocker.
Did you guys hear? There's a delay in the Hall of Fame game currently. They are under a delay. It doesn't even show what time on the ESPN app, but it just says delayed. So I have no idea what happened.
I'll give you a little Hall of Fame game trivia, Mike Sanford, that Tyler will know instantly. But it's a two-parter.
Where was the devil born?
Ah, there you go, man. You just jumped right to it. You kind of gave it away. All right. Who is Tyler talking about?
I don't
Where
know.
the devil was born. Who is Tyler talking about that played his high school football the stadium's been redone, but at
Canton, Ohio.
Yeah. Who played their high school games there?
Randy Gradishar.
I'm not calling Randy the devil here,
right.
Mike. All right, simmer down.
Oh, he's from Warren. He's from Warren, Ohio.
Yeah,
but I think he's.
Yeah. Come on, think about people I don't like.
Oh, okay. I thought
the devil. Do you think I don't want to be best friends with the devil, Mike?
Oh, McDaniel.
McDaniel.
The devil,
Tyler,
man. Yeah.
Tell Coach the story about when we went there.
So we went and checked out the high school that Josh went to, and they've got all their photos and trophies and Hall of Fame stuff, right? And so they got a big photo of Josh McDaniels in the high school, and I had that was like just a couple of years.
Tyler, I think that was actually the middle school. I think it was the middle school, not the high school. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, but go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
So
it's right next door.
I went and found that photo, and I happened to have my Super Bowl ring with me, and I may or may not have put that on the "you're number one" and done a little selfie with. Whoops, can I do that? Yeah.
Yeah, you're allowed to, man. We're allowed to see F-bombs and everything. DMac usually lets them fly.
Fuck yeah.
Right there on Josh McDaniel's face.
It was so funny too because that was hysterical. But then there's people in the school. Like we ran into it, like isn't Josh the greatest guy ever?
Oh,
it's the greatest.
He was like his grandma or something.
What were you guys there for? When was this?
For Payton Manning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Payton,
nice.
Yeah.
You know what would have been great if you would have posted it on social media, Tyler, with your one Super Bowl ring in the middle.
I did. I put it on social media.
The ultimate troll job would have been McDaniels coming back in front of that picture with not just one, not just 2 middle fingers, but actually probably his wife and kids behind him with all of his Patriots Super Bowl rings as a coordinator.
Yeah, that would have been
the ultimate troll job right there.
Yeah. By the way, Canton sucks. Okay. Let me just put it that way. I get it. The whole thing, blah, 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 blah. It's a sucky place to go to. It's a pain in the ass to get to. The fact that the next coolest city next to it is Cleveland tells you all you need to know. If they wanted to do something cool, I wish they would just move the game somewhere else that people can get to. They've moved the draft, move the enshrinement ceremony somewhere that's. I'm telling you, hey Mike, that is torture being out on that field during those speeches, man. Torture, torture. They should revamp the whole thing as far as.
Well, they did at least finally put a time limit on now, so
thank God.
You can't go over. Can you imagine if and when Russell Wilson would make the Hall of Fame?
Oh my Lord!
If there was no longer a time limit on that thing would be a 4.5-hour speech.
Can I tell you, I was lucky enough to go with Alfred Williams to the College Football Hall of Fame ceremony. It was so fucking cool.
Is it the one down in Atlanta or the one when it was in South Bend?
No. Well, the enshrinement ceremony is in New York City.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's a beautiful.
It's the National Football Foundation, I believe they do it at that dinner.
It's fantastic. It's beautiful. You get all dolled up. It's in December.
Yeah.
You're comfortable. It's, it's winter in New York City, but it's so cool. And let me tell you, have you guys been to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta?
Yeah, we went. So we played.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I coached in the Chick-fil-A preseason classic, and it was Boise State versus Ole Miss, and what used to, I think it was the old Georgia Dome before Mercedes-Benz was built. Yeah, and so we got a chance as a team to go tour it, and it was really a well done facility.
I'm waiting to go until they put me in it.
Tim Tebow, the player of the 2000s, he's there, man. He's not just on the he's not just the quarterback. He's like the player of the decade, which is you forget.
He was.
He is college football. The guy is college football.
Yeah, he's all over that place, and it's so cool how they do it, because instead of like a bust room, what they have is a Hall of Fame room, and they have 8 large, like big, huge screens that you can move around and whatever. So all you have to do is it's a huge touch screen, like 8 feet high, and you can just type in anybody you want, and up they come, their profiles and their highlights. And I don't know, man, it's so cool. You go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Seriously, man, it looks like something just right out of the 70s, which is what it is. And it's a little bit old and old-fashioned. It could be better. It could be so much better, frankly.
I went back in 87. That was the last time I've been to the Canton. The
87?
Yeah, I went in 87 with our family. My dad was coaching at Purdue, and we road trip through Canton, Ohio.
How old were you in 87?
I was 5 years old.
I was 2.
I graduated high school. All right. On that note, let's get out of here. Guys,
how many people are watching? How many people are watching?
We're over 1,400.
All right.
What do you want to keep going like it's telethon, Tyler?
No. I just need to know the numbers so the next guy comes on, I can make fun of him for not getting as many.
It is a record number for us. That is the most that we've had so far. So,
were you able to get it blasted out on Tyler's socials?
I didn't.
You know what? I couldn't find it. I reposted you, Mike. I didn't even know how to find this thing.
Because if you would have gotten it out on Tyler Polumbus, Super Bowl champion Tyler Polumbus, on his socials, we would have had at least 52,000.
I reposted you. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I got to go to bed.
All right. I got to watch Simone Biles do something. I don't know the results. Shut up. Don't tell me. I know you know. Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Real disappointed. That's all I want to say.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
Just relax.
Bye.
It'll be
Bye.
relaxed.